Many congratulations to the winners from our last video. विनर्स को एक जोमेटो गिफ्ट कार्ड मिलेगा वर्थ 500 रुपीज जिसको आप अपने नेक्स्ट ऑनलाइन ऑर्डर में यूज कर सकते हैं. सो इफ यू मिस्ड सीइंग द प्रीवियस वीडियो यू मस्ट बी वंडरिंग व्हाट आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट. Well, we ran a competition in the last video that could have saved you 500 rupees in your next online food order. But it's okay. You can still go and watch it after this video and you'll learn something valuable in today's video as well. Friends, in our last video, we started our analysis of what it takes to build a business in the restaurant or the food services sector and how do you evaluate a new industry that you want to enter into. And we learned about a framework within which हमने काफ़ी सारे points cover किए थे, such as evaluation of your own fit with the industry, is the industry even attractive, what are the business models like, regulations क्या है, and what is the competition like. Now in today's video, we'll cover two other key aspects of that framework, which is what are the key success factors that will enable you to establish your right to win in that industry and what is the capital requirement and the returns that you can expect to make on that. So let's carry on from where we left and let's talk about the sixth point in this framework, which is establishing your right to win. Now in the restaurant industry, barrier to entry low है तो आप easily launch कर सकते हैं. However, there is a high barrier to succeed in this space and especially to scale up. There is a high mortality rate in the industry. As per the owner of Masala Library restaurant, 90% of the restaurants fail within 1 year of them starting up. Now, so what is the secret to success in this business? From a business perspective, a few things are really important. Now, you can take a snapshot of the screen that you see right now in front of you and इसको better समझते हैं with some examples. Let's start with food quality. This factor is the foundation of your business. इसको make और break कह सकते हैं. Ultimately, लोग अच्छा खाना खाने ही आते हैं आपके पास में. So building that loyal base depends upon how good your food is. And a great example of this is the Rameshwaram Cafe in Bangalore. Now there have been many articles talking about the success of this place and how they are rumored to do close to 4.5 crores a month from one single outlet. Now in a city where there is South Indian food served in every nook and corner, how did it find an opportunity in this red ocean? Among multiple reasons, one of the biggest factors is the taste of the food. They've put in place standard operating procedures to ensure that there is consistency across individuals who are working in that place and across stores and the outlets that they have. Also, what they have is high quality and fresh ingredients that they use to ensure that the quality and taste are consistent across the outlets. Also, it is critical to ensure that the staff hiring training policy has been put in place. In the case of Rameshwaram Cafe, as per the owner, the staff is hired and trained for 6 to 8 months before they are actually placed in the kitchen team. And as a result, the customers remember the taste and they crave for it. They can also distinguish it from the others. Now, the second key point in establishing your right to win is having a unique value proposition. एंड उसमें हम एक क्लाउड किचन बिजनेस का एग्जांपल लेते हैं कॉल्ड बोबा भाई दैट इज सेलिंग बबल टीज एंड बर्गर्स. नाउ द इशू विथ मोस्ट रेस्टोरेंट इज दैट दे डू नॉट इनोवेट. Boba Bhai founders saw that there is a rising K-pop culture in India which is coming from South Korea and is opening up the market for Korean food as well. However, there are not so many players in the market today, and so they started by selling a unique combination of Korean burgers and bubble tea, which also has low penetration in India. So they made something that pulls customers towards them because what they created is unique. Now the third critical success factor is the choice of cuisine. Now there are two options, single cuisine or multi cuisine. Now इसमें बात करते हैं एक cloud kitchen and delivery only business की, which is Hando's Pizza. Now what is interesting about them is that they've built on the back of a single product, which is pizza. What this allows them to be is to be unique, to focus on one product and build that value prop over time, gain customer love and hence brand value in the market. And as a result, they've done exceedingly well in a short span of time. Another example in a similar category is a company called Good Flipping Burgers. Now they have started by selling burgers, and as a result have built expertise in that product over time and have done well again. In fact, they've also managed to raise funding from a reputed venture investor recently. Now the other alternative is to experiment with multiple brands so that customers can buy multiple types of cuisines from you as compared to going somewhere else. However, it will require significantly more investments. So if you are new to the industry and have limited capital, then the better way is to be focused on a single cuisine and be limited in terms of the number of items you're offering. Smaller the menu, the better it is. Now for any business, branding and marketing can define their success. And the same is true for a food services business as well. Which brings us to the fourth point to build a unique value proposition, which is branding and marketing. Now, there are many traditional offline strategies that are relevant for a new player in this space. Food brands have to reach out to customers through multiple avenues, such as posting in events, serving in parties, setting up kiosks, etc. And this helps your customers to discover about the brand and to experience it. Now, while offline activities are important, it is also critical to have a digital strategy. Let's take the example of an outlet called Half Right from Delhi. Now, the owner runs a vlog by the same name and has over 400,000 subscribers on their YouTube channel. When you go and look at the reviews on platforms like Zomato, you will see that most of the customers actually discovered about them through their YouTube channel. Now, this is a great example of what we call as content marketing strategy, which is important not only for restaurants but businesses across industries. Content marketing is low in cost compared to other forms of marketing and also creates long-term value for the brand. Now, coming back to online marketing strategies for restaurants, there's a growing community of professional food bloggers who themselves have a good reach on the social media platforms. Their reviews could help generate an interest in your brand. Now, apart from that, online reviews by customers play a very important role when they're making a decision. So make sure that you have reviews from customers on different platforms such as Google, Swiggy, Zomato, etc. You can also see my previous video on this topic of customer feedback to know about it in more detail. Now let's come to the fifth point to establish your right to win, which is pricing. Now broadly, there are three kinds of pricing: mass, mass premium, and premium. Now for your business, you need to determine the pricing basis: one, what is the cost of production, and two, what is the segment that you want to target. For example, in the pizza segment, Francisco's and Pizza Express operate on the premium side of the segment, while Hundo's Pizza is in the mass premium segment and a Domino's or a Pizza Hut is in the mass segment. There is a market for each price point. When you look at some of the publicly listed players, margins have come down for most of them in this year compared to last year. Now this is driven by the fact that there's been inflation across food, staff and other costs for them that has impacted the restaurant industry. However, they have not been able to pass on the entire cost increase to the customers given the competition in the market. So while you will want to optimize pricing such that you're maximizing on the margins, you will need to also ensure that you're maintaining parity with your customers and with similar brands in the market. Now beyond the stated pricing, for the cloud kitchen part of the business, you will also need to understand which products to run promotions on, how much to run, and when do you run it. Friends, there are other aspects on establishing your right to win. For example, in an offline restaurant business, location becomes very critical. Similarly, staff and service quality is very important. Ambience is the other factor that you will have to pay a lot of attention to, but we'll probably keep it for a later video. For this video, let's next talk about last but not the least important factor in our framework to evaluate the industry, which is the capital requirement and the returns that we can expect from our investment. Also, what are the key metrics that you will need to track in this business? So what is the investment required and what are the returns that you can make from it? Now, depending upon the target segment, the location, the price point, the investment and the returns will vary. For our video, let's talk about what an average cloud kitchen investment and returns could look like. Now, based on my research with experts, what came out as broad statistics for the industry is that if you want to start a cloud kitchen, your initial capital expenditure in setting up the equipment in the kitchen such as gas, utensils, fridge, oven, etc. could start from as low as 4 lakh rupees and could go as high as 30 lakh rupees depending upon what kind of equipment you are looking to buy. But the interesting thing to note here is that the lower end of that range, which is 4 lakh rupees, is not a very significant amount, which means that the business can be started with a low investment. In fact, many people are starting this at home and then scaling it up with demand. This means that almost no capital expenditure. Now let's talk about the margins in this business. Now, as a rule of thumb in the cloud kitchen industry, if your revenue is 100 rupees, your cost of raw material should be anywhere between 30 to 40 rupees, which means gross margins of 60 to 70 rupees. Your commissions to Zomato and Swiggy should be anywhere between 20 to 30 rupees depending upon your bargaining power and the kind of offers you're running on the platform. Your other costs such as rental, staff, electricity could be anywhere between 20 to 25 rupees, which means that your net margins will be anywhere between 10 to 20 rupees, depending upon how efficiently you are running it. Margins are ultimately also driven by how large your revenue is. Given that there are certain fixed costs such as staff cost, rental cost, electricity cost, etc., any increase in your revenue immediately impacts your margins. Now, for a restaurant business, apart from these P&L metrics, a key metric to track is the average daily sales, which is the total revenue that you make in a day, and which is determined by your average order value times the orders that you get in a day. You can see on the screen the average daily sales comparison across a few brands. As you can see, there is a wide variance amongst the brands, which is dependent upon many factors such as pricing, cuisine, and the size of the outlet. Now, the P&L numbers that I mentioned may not be possible from month one. It will take some time for the business to ramp up. So till such time, you will have to bear the losses as the revenues might not cover the expenses. There will be an initial gestation period of 3 to 6 months before you achieve operational break-even. Also, if your revenues or margins are lower, then it could take up to 24 months as well to recover the investment. Anywhere between 1 to 2 years is acceptable and very viable if you're managing it effectively. Now, newer brands in the market each have their own unique strategy. So while a good flipping burgers started with an offline outlet and then over time added cloud kitchen outlets, a Hundo's Pizza on the other hand is a cloud kitchen only model. When you look at a Rebel Foods, they actually started with an offline outlet and over time became primarily a cloud kitchen business. When you look at a Cure Food, it is primarily a cloud kitchen business but is now expanding in the offline outlet side as well. So as you are building your own strategy, it will depend upon the investment capacity you have and the kind of competition in the target segment or the geography that you want to operate in. Now, in a restaurant, the advantage is that the incoming footfalls have higher margins as you don't need to share the 25 to 30% margin with a Swiggy or a Zomato. So unlike a cloud kitchen business, as a result, the physical outlets can have higher margins anywhere between 15 to 20% or even higher depending upon how well you're running it. And as a result, you can potentially recover the investment in 2 to 3 years. Now, the great thing about running a restaurant business is that if you've established the brand and you continue to maintain the operations well, it becomes a cash flow generating business. You might have seen many restaurants in your own city that have existed for decades. Now, the reason is that they found their own sweet spot when they started. They've executed well and have continued to maintain the brand over time. Now, at the beginning of our last video, I talked about giving you an answer as to whether you should get into this industry or not. Given all that we've discussed today, my answer is a sure yes. However, if you execute it right. Now friends, we've explored an ocean within the restaurant or the food services industry. Even if you are not looking to enter into this industry, you can always use this framework for whichever industry you are evaluating to enter. And you can see this framework on the screen and take a snapshot of it. So let me ask you, have you evaluated a business or an industry recently? I would love your feedback on how you found this framework, whether you found it useful and your own insights on this framework. So please do share your feedback in the comment section. Do subscribe to the channel if you've not done that already. And I'll see you soon in my next video. Till then, stay happy and stay healthy.